Hi everyone! Did you ever thought how cool it would be to have a dragon that you can use for brewing a tea? Yes? Weird. But here you are at the right place. No? Doesn't matter, stay anyway. But be careful, you might die from overload of cuteness or crave a tea for the next 3 weeks. Today I will be talking about a graphic novel called The Tea Dragon Society, which came out in 2017. And it is exactly what the name tells us. A bunch of characters in a fantasy world where tea dragons exist establish a society of tea dragon owners. The tea dragons are very cute. They grow tea petals on their heads or backs, they come in all kinds of shapes and colors, and they are very cute. They are rather small in size compared to typical dragons, and in this world they practically exist only as pets. Also, did I mention already that they are really cute? Honestly, I kinda think their cuteness might be their survival strategy, as at the end of this book there is written that they lost all their survival skills and are now completely dependent on their owners. Yet they are still moody creatures and create troubles for their owners. But who cares when they are so damn cute, right? Kinda reminds me of someone. Now, if you have never heard about this book, don't worry, I only found out about it recently when it showed up in a Czech bookshops. And since I'm working in one, I put this book in a window display, and because the cover looks really pretty, I decided to even peek inside. And I have to tell you, it's a really nice story. So let me give you a quick summary of what is it about and why you should read it too. So this book is quite short. It has about 70 pages and it is separated into 4 chapters named after the seasons. The story portrays the protagonist's whole year, starting in a spring and ending in a winter. Our main character is a little girl called Greta. Her mother is a blacksmith and the little Greta is apprentice learning the same craft. However, the blacksmith profession is becoming rare in this world, as less and less people are learning to be one, and it seems that there is simply no use for this craft anymore. Little Greta still wants to learn to be a blacksmith, even if she is not exactly sure what is it good for. There is also mentioned Greta's father as a seller of the products her mother creates. What a happy family. Greta also has this little dark thing that looks like it might or might not turn into a creature of an eldritch horror. And it's called Brick. In Czech it's called Cihlička, which sounds even more cuter. But I'm not really sure what it is, I don't know, something that blacksmith has in this world, I guess. Anyway, little Greta finds one day a small dragon attacked by hungry dogs and saves the day with a compassion and empathy as she gives these dogs meat she had for her family. I hope the family is at least rich, the bacon looks really big. Then she finds the dragon's owner, Hesekiel, who is also owner of a tea shop. Because you guessed right, this little dragon is a tea dragon. Its name is Jasmine, as all tea dragons are named after different kinds of tea. Which is honestly kinda weird, because it means that their names are the same as their breed. At the end of this book, there are shown different breeds of dragons, and they are all named after the kind of tea they produce. So it seems that the owners kinda don't care and just call the dragons the name of their breed? It's like calling a pit bull Pitbull. I guess it works until there are 2 pitbulls or 2 Jasmines in the same room. Actually, that really would be quite a mess. So Jasmine and Hesekiel are reunited, and Greta gets invited to show up if she wants to learn more about tea dragons. On her way out of the house, she meets a young girl with pink hair, brown antlers, and the personality of a Fluttershy. And she also has her cute tea dragon. Her name is Minette and the dragon is called Chamomile. She is rather shy, but it seems she still left an impression. Bit reluctantly, Greta accepts the invitation of Hesekiel and she gets to know the last resident of the tea shop. She meets Eric, a buff guy on a wheelchair who explains to her that not many people want to take care of tea dragons anymore, because it's simply too much of a chore for a bit of a leafy water. Yet Hesekiel still believes it's worth it and would like to pass this knowledge to others, for example, little Greta. Since then, Greta hangs around the tea shop for the rest of the year, learning more about the dragons and their owners. These characters have surprisingly quite intense backstories, considering how the rest of the book is just completely cozy zen-like story where not much happens. Also, spoilers, if you did not read this book, skip this part. We also get to find out that Hesekiel and Eric are in fact husbands or lovers or something. It is not directly said, just shown through their actions and backstory, which is really nice actually. No big proclamation, just 2 people in love. And also eventually there is a new possible relationship brewing. I'm looking at you, young ladies. So Greta finds a new friend, helps Minette solve her problems, and learns about the importance of dyeing crafts. And here I will stop so I don't spoil you everything, and I'm telling you, go to read this book right now, because it's cute. Very, very cute. Both the story and the dragons. I also like the message of not forgetting old traditional crafts, even if they are not used as much today. I don't think this is something I see in kids' books often, but it's definitely an important message. Also, this book is pretty much for any age. I believe both kids and adults can enjoy this story, and it's pretty art style. And the idea of tea dragons is just really unique and creative. I'm pretty sure as a kid I would absolutely love them. I still remember my unhealthy obsession with Haku from Spirited Away. I mean, look at him. Personally, I might prefer a bit more those dragons from How to Train Your Dragon, where they are built more funky. But tea dragons also have their unique looks. They are different from the traditional Western depiction of dragons. Instead of scales, some of them have a fur, they have small wings that can't possibly make them fly, and some of them are missing wings completely. They also have either horns or antlers on their heads, and of course the tea leaves. When I look at Jasmine, it seems they are more inspired by the Asian depiction of dragons. Well, some of them. This is just a huge fluffy creature. No idea what to compare it to, but it's really cute. At the end of the book is an appendix with a description of different breeds of dragons and how to take care of them, which I think every nerd kid or adult who likes fantasy will appreciate. I mean, I'm pretty sure as a kid I would love it. As I said, each dragon breed is named after a different kind of a tea. For example, here is a chamomile, very sleepy, lazy, and quite easy dragon to take care of. The tea itself is made from the leaves that are growing at their head. Yeah, you just pluck the leaves out of body and throw it in the water. I'm not sure if this is the easier way to make tea, but definitely the cuter. Even if throwing someone's body parts into your drink sounds kinda weird. Anyway, the art style saves it. Also, this tea petals has a special side effect, and the person who drinks this tea gets to experience memories of that dragon. Cool, right? Now, as I already said, it's a really nice story, yet I might have a few nitpick complaints. So it's true, it's a very zen-like story, which is nice and relaxing, but I wish there was perhaps a little bit more of a tension at times. I mean, I'm not saying every story needs a big drama, but there are a few examples where there might be more of a build-up or conflict. Also, this part will contain spoilers, so if you did not read the book yet, you can skip this part. For example, at the start, Greta is telling us that the art of her mom is not so popular anymore, and when her mother asks if she is thinking of abandoning the tradition, Greta says no. She also wants to be a blacksmith, but as we can see through the story, she does have doubts about why is she even doing it. Now in the end, Greta becomes a part of the Tea Dragon Society, she gets her own dragon, and thanks to all of this, she realizes the importance of saving arts and traditions. And at the end, she is working in the blacksmith workshop now with a purpose. Yet I feel like this story could empathize more on Greta's internal dilemma or portray it more like a lesson. I mean, yeah, she does have these sort of questions in her mind that shows her doubts, but never once she really wavers in her resolve. I wish there was a bit more of a tension or some conflict happening that might add weight to the story. Like for example, if at the start Greta would directly say to her mom that she does not understand the importance of her craft, and perhaps even abandons it for a while until she learns the lesson thanks to the Hezekiel and the others, and then only after that she would decide to become a blacksmith. But perhaps that's too much of a cliché, or maybe Greta and her mother could have some dispute or misunderstanding at the start. I'm not saying anything big, it's a calm story where the characters don't have a problem communicating with each other, but perhaps some kind of a conflict might add weight to the final decision. But this is just really a small complaint. Like the story works the way it is, I just wish the message at the end would hold a little bit more of a importance and Greta's development would then seem bigger. Another example of this is when Minette gets lost. Minette reveals to Greta that she is scared to go to the town by herself because she worries she will not be able to remember her way home. Now Greta, sweet kid as she is, she promises she is going to find her if she would get lost no matter what. Eventually we see Minette going to the town by herself, and for a moment it looks like she truly got lost. But no, Greta is here to save the day and reveal that Minette is already almost at home. It is a really nice moment between the two of them, but I feel like we could have gotten a few more panels where Minette is lost. Like the moment the problem shows up, it is also immediately solved. Like I really like the way it was solved, just maybe the moment of Minette being lost might be a bit longer, so we could have a time to feel the suspense and the relief when Greta shows up. And one last thing, and I will stop this nitpicking. Multiple times the characters tells us how it is not easy to take care of the dragon and that it requires a patience, but from what we see, it doesn't seem to be harder than owning a cat. Actually, these dragons seems to me a lot calmer than a lot of the cats I met. I mean, these dragons did not even scratch anyone, while the average cat owner has to explain that they are not practicing self-harm. This is one thing I wish had been shown instead of just said. But don't take me wrong, this is really just a nitpicking. The story gets nice sense of closure in the winter chapter, where we see that Minette has written a letter to her parents about possibly coming home. Greta is crafting in the forge on her own, and as I said, she sort of repeats the message from the beginning, that she doesn't want blacksmithing to be forgotten. But now she also understands why. It's a nice full circle moment. In the epilogue, she gets her own tea dragon, Chisen, and all the owners come together to form their own Society of the Tea Dragons. Charming, right? Why does it look like Eric is on a phone? So yeah, it's a nice story full of compassion and positive vibes, with a little romance in the background. The characters are diverse and the dragons are cute. The only thing I'd point out is that even a calm Zen story should have some tension, struggle, or perhaps just different pacing, but the characters do get their development and the dragons are adorable, which is what really matters. It's a solid 7 tea petals out of a 10, or maybe even 8. Actually, the more time I spend with this story, the more I like it. So let's go with an 8. The book is short, you can read it in like an hour, or perhaps introduce it to your kid, younger brother, sister, cat, whatever you have at your disposition. It's really a book for everyone. I suggest to perhaps read this book when you truly have a time to enjoy it. There is not much of a reason to read this quickly on your phone when you are in a hurry. A cozy short story like this should be appreciated in peace. Also, one last thing. This book contains some LGBTQ themes, as you could notice already, and that brings me to the author, who I did not introduce yet. The author of this book is Kay O'Neill, illustrator and writer from New Zealand. They are self-taught artists and were active on Tumblr even before they started publishing books. The Society of the Tea Dragons is not their first graphic novel, but it won the most awards. Their first published book was actually Princess Ever After, which contains fantasy, LGBTQ characters, inclusiveness, and even a dragon on the cover, which are the same ingredients we can find even in the newer books. Princess Ever After is basically a twist of a typical story where Prince saves the princess from the tower, but there are both of them princesses and they are mostly fighting the expectations of their families and prejudice of others and a dancing ogre. Yeah, before Princess there were a bunch of webcomics you can still find at their Tumblr account. Actually, all of these stories started as a webcomic, just some of them were also published. The Tea Dragon Society was published in 2017, followed by the Tea Dragon Festival and the Tea Dragon Tapestry. Another story that won an award is Aquicorn Cove. It's from 2019 and instead of dragons there are magical seahorses. But the seahorses are also cute. Yeah, it's kind of a trademark. And their newer story is The Moth Keeper from 2023. It seems their art style changed a little bit, and honestly it looks really beautiful. Also, in 2020, O'Neill posted on their Twitter that they prefer they/them pronouns. And in an interview from 2019, they said about their books. With consciousness of a new generation, I would like to try make books that inspire kindness, self-acceptance, and social responsibility. And well, that works. The Tea Dragon Society fits into this well, and I have to say I truly enjoyed it. Also, one last trivia, this book has a beautiful cover. I noticed how both kids and all the part-timers turn their heads when it's on display. So yeah, the cuteness of the dragons works, as a survival strategy and a marketing one. And that's probably everything from me today. Bye!